Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sofa Kings YouTube channel. My name is AJ, and I'm joined alongside by my good friend, MMA nerd, musician, all-around great guy, Steven Shred. Steven Shred, how we doing, buddy?
Yo, doing pretty good, man. A lot of wild news in the last few days,
Yeah,
so I'm
dude,
ready to
honestly,
talk about
man,
it.
I've been waking up. I'm like, oh, there's more. Oh, there's more. So what ended up turning in, or I guess at the beginning of the week, we had some really weird stuff happening with. Actually, we didn't even talk about this. Tony Ferguson flipping his truck,
Yeah,
being uncooperative with the police. That's what the reports were saying. So interesting. I don't know. We have a lot on the slate today. You were very excited for this one. I'm very excited for this one. There's a
yep.
lot of topics to cover. I want to get straight into it with obviously the biggest story potentially of 2023 and MMA in general. Francis Ngannou has now signed to the PFL with a 2 to 3 fight deal, where he's going to be getting senior leadership management type roles with the expansion to PFL Africa, along with being able to give his opponents either $1 million or $2 million for the fights. I've seen both numbers floating around, but now I've seen 2 million as the more consistent number.
Yeah.
So I'll let you get right into this one because oh boy, oh boy.
So this is a big deal.
Yeah.
PFL has somewhat the reputation around the, I guess, more casual scene as the place where UFC fighters go after they fight for the UFC. Uh, they're definitely turning into like a huge player in the game, especially with the news that they might even buy Bellator. So France is going over there while he's still in his prime, while he's still like doing his thing. It just opens this huge medium for people to get into the PFL, I think at least. Like it is insane now that they have him. It's also insane that he actually got all the things that he was asking for because it's exactly what he wanted with UFC. That's the reason why him and Dana fell out. He
Mhm.
wanted the money, but he also wanted the money for his opponents. He wanted a seat at the table. He got it. So you got to be super happy for him. But I do question their ability to make an actual big, impactful event around him that isn't just Francis carrying an event. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest question surrounding the entire endeavor with this, right? Not to make a pun with Endeavor, the group, right? It's tough because I don't know who they give him, right? Do you give him Jake Paul? No, Jake's not taking that fight, right? Like
It's like
he's
it's like a 50-pound difference too,
I,
at least.
Jake still walks around at heavyweight weight, like he still walks around. Maybe 210 at the most. So closer to light heavyweight, right? He cuts the weight down to 180. Um, but the kid's big. He's not 265 big, right?
Yeah.
He's not exactly struggling. He's not going to struggle to make heavyweight. In fact, he's probably going to struggle to gain the weight, to gain the good weight because Jake has a solid build, right, for his body. And you can tell he's a young, strong, athletic kid, but he's going to wait it out, right? We saw what happened to Jake as soon as he got a young, hungry boxer, and even then, it wasn't that good of. I'm not impressed with Tommy Fury at all. But Tommy Fury is a slightly better boxer than people give him credit for. I say slightly because it depends on who you ask. Now, for Francis and for the PFL, I didn't think it would get to this point, but in hindsight, everything worked out. Um, man, there's not much happening besides the deal itself. There's no announcement for a fight, right? We
Yeah.
don't know how big PFL Africa is going to be. We don't know how big that expansion is going to be. We don't know who deserves that $1 million, $2 million to get into the cage with Francis Ngannou. So that being said, I mean, you still have more chirping with John Jones.
Yeah,
They're
that
still
is
going
the
back and
biggest
forth.
thing.
right? Like you saw the tweets, like, oh hey, you know, you let win across the street, da da da. Francis is like, okay, then cross the street, like come on over, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. Dana's not gonna do a
No.
crossover with the PFL. The PFL stands to gain everything from that transaction, and I'm not saying that the fans wouldn't want that. Of course, the fans would want that. The fans want the most competitive fights, the best fights, the most well-known fights. That's what's gonna sell. And to go back to your original point, what sells? Are there any fights that you can think of?
In PFL?
Yeah.
Nope. The only thing that they have that we've talked about before is as far as like heavyweights that had somewhat of names for Fabricio Verdum, but I don't think that's a great matchup for Francis,
Mm-hmm.
which I've said before, and then Francis knocks him out cold. But that's just the power that he holds. It's like old Game of Thrones, like the Mountain. It's like
Yeah.
you get your hits in, you poison him, do all this stuff, but if he grabs you, like you're dead. So I don't think that's the star power matchup though. They don't really have anything to give him where both Francis and the opponent are spotlighted. It's more of look what Francis is doing.
Yeah, I agree. I I think it's the best move PFL could have made. I think they're making a huge bet, and the next it's not going to be the first fight. The first fight is going to do well, in my opinion, because Francis is going to carry it, and rightly so. Francis, through all of this media, through all everything that he's done from the past couple months, people were doubting him. People were saying that, and even I said it. The longer that it was going to go on, his stock was going to drop. Right?
Yeah.
He's getting older. He's what, 37, 38?
Yep.
Okay, so
37, I believe. Could be wrong.
in the heavyweight division, you can go for a little bit longer, right? And even over at 205, right? Like they're playing like hops or fucking hacky sack with the belt over there, right?
Yeah.
So maybe Yuri's the next champion, But going forward, I Francis is going to have a good amount of time, right? They're saying 2024, like mid 2024 for a fight.
Yeah, which
That's
is a little crazy.
yeah. I don't know how much time you need to get set up for what. I don't know, because he's technically not entering their heavyweight division. He's not going to be a part of their tournament format, right? Which is a huge selling point for the PFL. They haven't mentioned a single thing in terms of like, whoa, is he going to be a part of the next heavyweight tournament when it comes around? Because it could be a good amount of time, because I think they just finished a heavyweight division, or they're doing it right now. So those are my main concerns. Is just the second fight. Are the numbers going to do well?
Yeah. Especially if they still don't have any star power of any sort, which
Yeah.
there aren't that many, heavyweights that have any star power. I mean, in the UFC alone, there's maybe what, two, three?
Um,
One of them including John Jones, as
I
far as people recognizing who they are.
If I had to look at the UFC rankings right now, which I'm going to pull up, at heavyweight, obviously you have the champ John Jones, big name. Cyril Gane, big name, but I think because of the opponents he's faced and just the level at which he's faced him. Sergey Pavlovich.
I would say he's a little lesser known as far as like, because I'm thinking like just immediate name recognition.
Tai Tuivasa.
I would say Tai
Stipe.
Tuivasa and Derek Lewis would be the biggest ones as far as like the general broad audience.
But they're not. But none of them are stepping over to PFL, right? Anytime
Oh, of course
soon.
not. Yeah, my point is that even the UFC barely has star power in the heavyweight division.
I
So
don't think it's a
expecting
star
star
problem.
matchups.
I don't think it's a
Well,
star problem. I think it's a skill issue.
that's definitely part of
You know
it.
what I mean?
Heavyweights, it's that thing, man. Like, you're in a game where you could either go for the sprint or you go for the marathon, and unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of heavyweights that could do the marathon. So you don't get them out in that first round, then it just turns into this weird, really slow back and forth, and that turns a lot of people off from the
Yeah.
heavyweight division. You don't got a whole lot of guys that have solid ground game, good wrestling. You just got a lot of really big dudes that get hit really, really hard.
Well, you know what though? To counter that opinion, and to real quick, uh, to just recap the main event from this past weekend, Jailton Almeida kind of going against the grain there in the heavyweight division, getting the win off of Jaron Rizzo Rosenstruck with the rear naked choke, a quick one by the way, very fucking quick.
One that I actually put down for verdict.
There you go,
I had a
man.
round 1 submission. I
Eh,
was going for broke on that one.
Hey, that was a great pick, man. It was it. I didn't see Rosenstrike coming out of that. I think he'll probably win a couple more and kind of stay in that picture. But Jailton, along with guys like Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gahn, represent the difference in the skill of the heavyweight division and how much more it's progressing. But I still think it's going to take some time, especially if you go to the PFL, right, where the star power isn't there, so they have to rely on good matches and good matchups. And
Yeah.
right now, I just don't see a competitive matchup for Francis unless that curse is real. You know, like you were mentioning, if former UFC guys go over to any other promotion, get knocked out, whatever it is, um, then maybe. But right now, Francis seems to be the baddest man over at PFL. But you did bring up a good point, and I do want to segue into a topic
Yep.
that you did bring up. And you asked who is the baddest man on the planet right now? Is-
Yep, the UFC heavyweight champion has always been revered as the baddest man on the planet. Our actual heavyweight champion prior to Jones left uncontested. So, who's the baddest man on the planet now?
uh, uh,
That's the big question.
who were Francis's last fights? Do you remember?
Cyril Gahn, Stipe, and before Stipe was that Curtis Blades?
How many of those fights were his title bouts?
Oh, the title bouts, only 2.
Only two. Yeah.
He taken the title and then defending it once.
Interesting. Yeah. And you know what, man? I'm going to be real with you. When it comes to just straight accolades, I still think John Jones just toys with Francis. There's no way in hell that Francis, unless he just catches Jones in a wild exchange, right? This is MMA, anything can happen.
Yeah,
You know, especially guys like Verdum, right? Come out and just want to run at you and throw a foot, right?
yeah.
Um, it, John Jones after he beats Cyril Gahn like that, it was so decisive for me. I can't. No one can deny John Jones. And you know what? Even Dana White said that he's not interested with this match anymore. He said that he tried to make the fight for 2 years, and I quote, I'll quote this one. I tried to make that fight for 2 years. Ngannou didn't want the fight. Know what I mean? He didn't want the fight, and he left here without even having another deal in place. And I know how the boxing world is. It's crazy, but Francis didn't want to fight John Jones. Was Francis actually ducking, or were the business endeavors he wanted more important than everything? And does it matter to the fan?
I think it's more on the business side. I honestly do not think there's a single person on the planet that Francis fears.
I
I
agree.
don't think it's I don't think it's a matter of he's scared of Jones, which Dana loves to imply that guys are scared of other guys. That
That's
is
a
like
that's a
one of the biggest
promoter.
things.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
no.
yeah, it's always one of the biggest things. We offered the fight, they didn't take the fight. We've offered them 3 fights, they're not taking it. Like that is always one of Dana's lines. Like if you looked up those quotations, I'm sure tons and tons and tons of articles would pop up of him talking about different people. But I don't think Francis fears anybody. I think it's just Francis wanted his name, you know, which you put Francis up against anybody when, the UFC had him is a big fight. So he wanted the weight that his name carried to, provide him with all the things that he wanted. So I think it's more of a business aspect, but the question of baddest man on the planet. I mean, say what you will about John Jones. I think he is the GOAT, the greatest of all time, because the level of competition has always been there.
Yep.
He has the only stands on the records are, two questionable decision wins, but his only loss, on record is a
Is a
weird
12-6
fall.
elbow that
Yeah,
yeah, no,
which
he was the dude was getting smashed before that. So
yeah, he was getting absolutely destroyed. That's the only thing he had. Like, 12-6 elbow. Oh, you did it again. Now you're out. Like there can't be that much argument against Jones being the GOAT because the GOAT is the greatest of all time. Not the best person of all time. Not the greatest dude ever. The greatest of all time in MMA,
yeah,
which
Jones
you
has
can't deny.
his Jones has his issues in and out of the cage, but uh, I mean the UFC has him as their pound for pound top guy, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Um, no one's touching that anytime soon. I will always throw Jones um, above fighters like Khabib, um, above
Yeah.
guys. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say Israel Adesanya is just a few title defenses away from being better than Anderson Silva. I would say that
I could
confidently.
definitely respect that because if we let's take a step back. Let's think honestly and rationally. The level of competition that Anderson Silva was facing is completely different to the level of competition that Israel's seeing. But then on that same spectrum, we're talking Jones. He competed in both eras and was successful in both eras. So that's
Yes.
why I always give it to him because it's like, guys were less, guys were less what's the word? They were less complete fighters. Not saying that they're bad, not saying they were worse, but you got guys now that have trained in multiple disciplines, are extremely good at multiple disciplines. Back then, that was not as frequently seen.
Right.
The
You
level
had
of competition these days is just higher. You
yeah,
can't deny
absolutely.
that.
I mean, it's the same when people make the argument about basketball players. Oh, and I know you're not big in the basketball world, but that's a huge thing. It's like, oh, the players these days wouldn't have lasted with the guys in the '90s. The guys in the '90s would have just fucking hit them, and it's like, okay, but like the guys now are like so much better at playing actual basketball. Like it's insane. Um, I want to real quick. I mean, you know what? Fuck it. I'll segue it like this.
All right.
Speaking of insane, the Salt Lake City fight card. Holy shit.
What?
290, 291, 292,
291.
291. What the fuck are we in for? Okay, hold up. Just
Dude.
off the top,
Yeah.
right? For the vacant belt, when it became vacant, I don't know.
When both of them retired, I guess.
Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. Um, whew, right,
With
that's
the BMF.
Justin Gaethje is no longer the same fighter that he was when he first fought Dustin Poirier, and Dustin Poirier is coming off of a great win. Gaethje himself is coming off of a great win. There's no better matchup I can think of than those two guys currently. There's in the 155 division alone, right? You have so many good matchups. But we needed to see Gaethje put on an amazing performance against Fiziev because we thought Fiziev was going to be the young, hungry guy and get it. Maybe take that 3 spot, and he couldn't. So now Gaethje and Poirier looks like they're going to have to fight each other for that potential contender spot. So
Yeah. Like
that, wow.
that is gonna be insanity. Like I can only imagine how hard each of them are gonna go because I feel both of them just want that second crack at it. Both of them beat by Khabib in the same way, correct?
Rear naked, I
Both rear
believe.
naked choke,
Yep.
both of them.
Yeah.
They both want another crack at it. They knew they weren't gonna get it quickly, so this is their chance. I think both of them are as hungry as can be, especially with, now Islam taking the number 1 spot as champion, like, so I think there is 0 chance that is a boring fight.
Yeah. No, I think we get um I think we get a high paced match. I don't think they're gonna be slinging heat for 25 minutes straight. I think there's gonna be some lulls in the matches just because they're both gonna make each other miss. Gaethje's footwork is highly underrated. Poirier's hands, I think, are appropriately rated, but they're appropriately rated because he's so fucking good and everyone recognizes that.
Yeah.
Uh, Going down the card, Jan Blachowicz taking on Alex Pereira as his first fight at 205 after dropping his fight against Izzy. Wow, had to think about that one for a second. I don't mind him going against the number 3 guy. I just think this is kind of, I don't know. I don't know if they're doing him a favor or not by giving him Jan.
Yeah, I question it a little bit because Jan is the dude who beat Izzy when Izzy tried to go to 205.
Mhm.
Now Alex is way bigger frame-wise, build-wise, so I think Alex will have a better home at 205, but I we've seen Alex be able to be takedown. We've seen him struggle on the ground. Jan is a strong dude,
Yeah.
and if he wants to take it to the ground, I think it gets to the ground. And another big thing is those leg kicks. That could be a problem.
For Pereira?
Yeah,
I don't
because
think so. I think he'll be better on the stand up. If like
I think he'll for sure be, better. He's got the crisper striking, but I think the leg kicks could definitely be an issue because Jan loves to throw those leg kicks.
yeah, I if he can stop the movement of of oh my god, why am I blanking today? Wow. It's so early. This is so much earlier than I'm used to. I'm used to coming off of work being all caffeined out with coffee. But if he gets Pereira's leg early, he's going to be able to stop the movement and he's going to be able to take him down a lot easier. It's going to be he's not going to want to fight against the cage as much. But I don't I think Jan won't be the guy pushing the pace. I think Pereira's going to try to push the pace until maybe he overextends, throws a kick that gets caught, and gets taken down. I don't see this fight going the distance. I see it ending in a sub, but that's just me. I am excited to see Pereira at a heavier weight class. Maybe his chin holds up even better.
Could be.
You know,
That
I
is
think
a
that was an
big dude.
issue with Izzy. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
Izzy, it's not that Izzy hits hard. He hits people in the right spot, and he hits them very accurately, and it's just enough to send them. You know, so
Yeah.
with Jan, who does have a knockout win over, I think his most recent knockout win was against, what was it against? Rakic? Yes, it was against Rakic. Moving on though, Paulo Costa taking on Ikram Aliaskarov. Paulo Costa getting no favors from the UFC here after Ikram coming off of a clean ass 1-2 knockout. Paulo Costa, though, still a beast in his own right. I'm just wondering if the striking is going to be there for him. He's much more of a brawler and wants to kind of get into these firefights. Ollie Skarhoff is
Yeah.
just so technical, man. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that is going to be a huge issue for Costa, especially after seeing the performance against why am I blanking on names?
Rockhold?
Yeah, Rockhold. Because a lot of people were saying, Rockhold's on his last legs. He's out, and then they give him Costa, and he actually was doing pretty well in some parts.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that we get a clear idea where Costa's at now, as far as like where his game's been at, and then we then he gets this matchup.
Yeah.
It's it's making me question a little bit how well he's going to be able to prove himself in these exchanges. Or is he just going to end up getting tagged a ton and then just trying to throw heavy, trying to like get back into it?
I think Paulo Costa is significantly a much better opponent than Phil Hawes. So I think
Yeah,
Paulo Costa presents more of a danger for Ikram than some people might think. But again, for Ikram to come off of again, an admittedly clean ass knockout, the dude's only had what 2 fights at the UFC. One was a contender series. The other one was the most recent fight with Phil Hawes.
yeah,
Paulo Costa still has championship level experience. So cardio is not going to be an issue. I don't think cardio is going to be an issue for any of these guys,
yeah.
unless there's just like randomly a bunch of wrestling. But I don't think Costa's going to wrestle at all for that fight. That's
Altitude could be a thing.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's gonna. Well, I mean, in Salt Lake, it's not gonna be as bad as like
Denver.
yeah, where they're just gonna be drained. But
Or
just to list off some of the opponents that Costas faced, right? Obviously he got the decision against Rockhold, won the decision against Vittori, lost to Adesanya for second round TKO.
Mhm.
Doesn't say who won. Who won between the Romero and Costa fight?
Costa
Costa.
decision.
I don't know why it doesn't say. Whatever. Uriah Hall and Costa, TKO. He actually TKO'd. Not Ryan Hall. Eddie Hall or Uriah Hall. What the? Wow, I am all over the place today. And then knocked out Johnny Hendricks. So
Yeah,
it's
he's definitely got the experience and he's got the names, but a lot of it goes off of he's a very big, strong, athletic guy. He likes getting these brawls, and a lot of times he could, just push the pace and outlast the big strikes.
he
But
needs another first round finish. If I'm being real, both if I'm looking at the over under, which I'm sure that'll pop out soon.
yeah,
I'm taking the under because I mean, it'll be 2.5 rounds probably. And yeah, I'm betting the under on that all day just because this fight isn't gonna see the second round in my opinion. There's no way. Um,
yeah,
Going on to arguably, I think one of the closest fights on the card. Uh, Maybe not. I I don't know. I'm looking at it. I said it out loud, and now I don't even believe it. Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green. If you're a Bobby Green fan, you probably love this fight. This potentially could be Tony Ferguson's last fight. I
I think I think it should be.
okay. There we go. I think there's a difference between is going to be and should be.
Yeah,
He's facing his own litany of issues outside of the cage, and you hate to see it because he's such a good fighter and was such a good fighter. But after the Gaethje fight, something changed. I think Gaethje hit him so fucking hard that it's. I don't know if it's some level of brain damage that's causing him to just do this. I don't know if he's always just kind of been this way, but he's essentially ramped up his antics since then. But I just want to get your take on this card. Bobby Green, who is an IE guy, he's actually from the Inland Empire.
yep,
Likes to kind of make noise. This is the biggest fight I think he's had, right?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would say so because Tony Ferguson, even with the skid, still a big name,
Yep.
still draws fan attention. But I've been a huge Tony Ferguson fan for a long time. When he won the interim championship back in 2016, 2017, I was over the moon, dude. Like, I thought he was the guy. And, a lot of people are going to hate me for this. I think he has the better record than Khabib.
Tony
So
Ferguson.
that's why, Yeah, 100%. I think he faced a higher level of competition for a lot longer. But I mean,
I think most people have faced a in the earlier half of Khabib's career, his first 15 fights. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Because I you go back and you look at those records, and I think we did that like on the very first video, right? That we did on the channel. Yeah,
Talking about old Khabib ones.
yeah. Like I
Yeah.
that it that bugs me to no end, and people are, oh, you're a Khabib hater. No, I think he's a great fighter. I just think
Yeah.
he was doing it against guys that weren't as good, and he got to learn at a faster pace because he was going in there, and then he would take a somewhat iffy fight, but then kind of implement his game plan because he is that good. The Dagestan camp is that good, and now because it's that good, no one wants to fight them, which is a different story than you know, not I guess not picking your fights,
Yeah.
but either way, I see Bobby Green getting this. He's dropped his last two. Well, I mean, his last fight was a no contest against Jared Gordon.
Yeah, the last one made me angry.
It
He was trying to
happens.
claim that it was the elbow. Even at the press conference after he'd seen the video, he's like, "It's my elbow that downed him." I I'm wearing glasses right now. I
Jared
don't
Gordon
have
or
good
Bobby
vision.
Green?
Bobby Green.
Ah,
I don't have good vision.
yep,
But when your elbow goes over here and the guy's head's over here, that's not hitting.
yeah,
But when your forehead hits his head,
yeah. No,
like
I get
that
it.
that pissed me off. Like to the point where in the press conference they were asking Bobby Green about it, and he's like, "They're messing with my money." Gets all pissed off and storms off. I'm like, "You screwed up. You didn't get a TKO. No contest was the right call. Suck it."
I think it's tough because before that he's coming off of the two losses, one to Drew Dober and another to Islam.
Yeah,
Um,
which the Drew Dober one was nasty.
and you got to remember, like when you're down two fights, that's all you're thinking. You're like, damn, like I don't want to drop three. Like I don't think
Yeah,
ever in his career he has dropped three before in his career once, in a row, where he lost to Edson Barbosa, then Dustin Poirier, which again, you shouldn't feel bad about those losses, and Rashid Magomedov. So he's I think this is the perfect fight for both of these guys who are coming off of loss streaks. Tony
yeah,
Ferguson coming off of a 5-fight loss streak, which again started with the Justin Gaethje fight back in 2020.
yeah. I still don't love it. Like, I feel like Ferguson should have been done
Mhm.
when he got tapped like by Nate Diaz. Like Nate Diaz in these last few years has not been a finisher. And with the ease that Diaz had with Ferguson just broke my heart to see, and I was just like, "Man, what are we doing giving him fights still?" It's almost going into the cowboy territory where I'm just like, "Just say it's over, please."
Yeah, it's I'm I am a fan of his work prior to everything,
Yeah.
like the downward spiral, but I he's getting into all this trouble. I think he just needs to maybe reevaluate a lot of the things that he's doing, and maybe get into the coaching scene, maybe start to think about other jobs. Maybe he doesn't have anything set, and that's an unfortunate thing that uh, a lot of athletes in general just deal with. They don't know what happens or what to do after the fact because all they know is fighting. All they've ever done is fought, and when they got paid to do it, they didn't think it would ever stop. He probably assumed he was going to be invincible forever. He was El Kukui.
Yeah.
Who takes out the boogeyman? Well, 5 people now apparently. Uh,
Very,
going
very unfortunate.
going down the card, another banger. Michael Chiesa, Kevin Holland. We'll keep these next ones kind of short because I think there's just two more fights after this I want to talk about.
Yeah.
But Michael Chiesa, Kevin Holland. Look, great matchup. I don't think there's much more to be said for Michael Chiesa and Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland's this is typical striker versus grappler, right?
Yeah.
Chiesa's he's not going to have the advantage striking. I think he'll be okay but he's not going to want to sit there and try to have this point sparring match with Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland, though, didn't do bad with Jacare, man. You know what I mean? Like he was in the close guard, was in some bad positions, and is just able to generate so much fucking power, even that close. So
Yeah,
it
Kies definitely needs to watch it, but it's definitely the grappler versus striker thing. Both of them have their mediums for victory. So we just get to sit back and enjoy and see who gets the pull their way.
and Kevin, you know what? I just noticed too, or I just remembered. Kevin Holland did stuff a couple takedowns from Hamzat in their fight. I mean, he did get choked with a Barbo choke or Brabo choke. I'm trying to think of what kind of, but what he got choked, right? Tap.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Then he dropped one to Stephen Thompson, picks up a win against Santiago Ponzinibbio. Michael Chiesa, I'm looking at his record right now. Last time he fought, November 20th, 2021. Lost decision to Sean Brady. Before that, lost to Vicente Luque. But still, great names on his win columns. Neil Magny, Rafael dos Anjos, Diego Sanchez, Carlos Condit. He has a win over Benil Dariush, Jim Miller. He has a win over Alaquinta with the tough finale, tough 15. That's been a minute.
Yep.
Both these guys have been around. I think they're going to try to implement the game plan as best as possible, but maybe decision. I can see this going to a decision. If not, knockout by Kevin Holland is probably my pick.
I could definitely see it being knockout Holland, submission Chiesa, decision. I don't really have too much pulling me for 100% pick, but either way, this is one of those fights that I'm excited to just check out. I don't really have like a big opinion on the outcome of it, which is surprising because I usually have a big opinion on everything.
No, you're good. We also have a couple fan favorites on that same card on the prelims. Derek Lewis and Stephen Thompson. Both of these guys will be fighting, and I think they're gonna get the audience regardless. Regardless if it's a winning fight for them or not.
Especially Thompson going against it's Michel?
Michel Pidea.
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of creative striking going on. So
yes, he's gonna pressure forward Stephen Thompson. Obviously, one of the greatest counter strikers in the entire roster, in my opinion, and I think that's because of the karate background that he has with Upstate Karate. That's the gym he's at, right? Upstate Karate out in South Carolina. Yeah, man. Michelle's got to be careful because Steven can still put people out. He's been winning his fights by decision, so I don't know. Maybe he's not able to do it anymore. His last knockout win was flying knee and a punch to Danny Roberts back in 2019. So it's been some years, man. I don't know how many more fights we see from Stephen Thompson unless he goes out there, finishes, and gets a dominant decision. But even then, is he ranked?
That is a good question.
I will check.
I would think so.
Let's see. What is he, a 170 guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the number 7 guy. So this is a big spot. The 15 guy taking on the 7 guy. That's important. Derek Lewis is also fighting, so that's going to be interesting. I believe. I swear I had all this information. DeLima, that's right. Derek Lewis, man, he coming off of a loss to Spivak. 2 losses, Pavlovich and Spivak. So 3. Wow. Your boy is
Tai Tuivasa too.
oh man. So Derek really needs this win because for a while he was in the title picture. You know,
Yeah, he even got a title shot against DC. That did not go well.
no,
But
it didn't go well. Um,
he's still one of our favorites.
and I think it's literally because of the post-fight antics and just the stuff he says. His Instagram
Yeah.
helps.
You
And
gotta love a fighter who just doesn't take themselves too seriously. Just likes to have fun, likes to have a good time.
yeah, absolutely. Um, so that's 290. That's 291. What a card! Salt Lake City, July 29th. I can't wait. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. Moving forward, though, the Connor documentary has just dropped today. I haven't seen it. I know you haven't seen it. I think it's. You said that it takes place between when?
So the synopsis that I saw said that it takes place from the Khabib fight until now. Not now, but when they stopped production very recently.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, are we going to see some of the reasoning behind why he's been on a skid lately? Because his last documentary showed us the issues that he had going into the Mendez fight.
Mm-hmm.
Showed us some issues going into some of his bigger high profile fights back when he got the championship and everything. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some behind the scenes stuff that the public just doesn't know about, because I feel like with Connor, you don't get a whole lot of these like so and so is supposedly injured during this. Like, we don't really get news like that from Connor.
Right.
You don't got people like reporting like, oh, he's apparently in camp, something happened with this or something happened with that. So this is our only way of finding out, really.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine he tries to keep a lot of his training on lock, just because, with all the accusations of moles in camps and stuff like that, and it's yeah. This is going to be an interesting documentary. It's a 4-part series. It's on Netflix. I thought it was going to debut later in the month. I don't know why. Maybe I'm mixing it up with Tough, with the new Tough season. But this is honestly one of the best promos for The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, it's so perfect with the timing. But McGregor Forever, Netflix, it's available now. Check it out. We'll probably check it out probably right after this, to be honest. But I wanted to get your opinion on a couple of news stories that came out. So yesterday they announced that the UFC and WWE merge company settles on a new name, plans to go public in late 2023. The merger combining the UFC and WWE will operate under a new company name, TKO Group Holdings, with plans to go public on the stock exchange before the end of 2023. Endeavor, the current parent company of the UFC, made the announcement via CNBC on Tuesday after initially revealing plans for the merged company back in April. The company will operate under the TKO symbol on the New York Stock Exchange. That article is from MMA Fighting, Damon Martin. That's big, honestly. So they're looking for, I mean, essentially crowdfunding, right? When you go public.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing, because MMA is the fastest growing sport. I don't care what Dana says. It's not slap fighting. That shit's stupid as fuck. Okay.
Free brain damage.
I mean, fighting in general is free brain damage too, but at least you can
At
like,
least you get to defend yourself.
yes, you can defend yourself. That's the thing. It's like when I first started seeing these slap competitions, I was laughing and like watching as in like novelty, but I was laughing at the content. I wasn't like so interested in the content I was willing to pay. Like, I wasn't watching these fight promotions like that. It just, I don't know, man. But
Yeah, the biggest thing, like, just real quick tangent, like,
yeah,
as someone who watches a lot of Moist Critical, which anybody out there that watches Moist Critical knows, like, because he covers all of the slapping stuff. The biggest thing is, in previous slapping organizations, what made it big You have to hit with this part of your hand. Has to be that. You cannot do this. That's
Yes.
called clubbing. You get penalized and you get slapped twice. So you lose
You're
your
a
turn
big
base.
Slipe fan.
Moist Critical is, and I watch a lot of Moist Critical. He's even
Yeah.
commentated one of their bigger events.
Oh, wow.
But the UFC allows this, or Slap Fighting Championship allows this. That's the
Wow.
biggest thing. There is no penalty for clubbing. They claim there is, but yeah, people are getting slapped with this part of your hand, which you're not supposed to, because that's just
Yeah,
bone.
it's tough. Yeah, that's
So yeah, free
wow.
free brain injury. That's not good.
No, not good at all. I'm not a fan of it. But I am a fan of them going public under the new company TKO Group Holdings. I am going to do everything in my power to
Buy some stocks.
buy some stock because I do believe in the UFC as a business model. I think the WWE, while they have their issues currently, make good business decisions that only help the business side of the WWE. Endeavor holding on to them as like its own stock exchange didn't really feel right because it never felt like I was supporting the UFC. It felt like I was supporting something else that just held on to the name the UFC. But so that was one big one. The last story for the day, two UFC fighters have been suspended for 6 months for Ostarine. It is a banned substance. I guess at a monthly Nevada Athletic Commission meeting for Wednesday, the commission suspended featherweight Kyler Phillips and lightweight Darius Flowers and fined them each $407.50 for legal fees.
Need the 50 cents, man.
I need the 50
Better
cents.
have those goddamn quarters.
Phillips tested positive during urinalysis of a sample collected ahead of a scheduled March 11th bout versus Rafael Asuncao. I don't know. Flowers tested positive during urine analysis of a sample collected around a scheduled February 25th bout versus Eric Gonzalez, which was expected to be his promotional debut. God damn, guys. Look, I get it. Fighters are going to do what they need to try and win and get every edge in competition. The only difference is the guys who get caught and the guys who don't.
Hey man, they just wanted to taste what horse meat tastes like. No big deal. It's got some tainted kangaroo meat.
No big
deal.
I was just hanging out with Connor. No, I'm kidding. No, no.
Just wanted that secret juice, man. They got the wrong one.
And you know what? Speaking of Connor, I think they're gonna start ramping up the fight news soon for them with Chandler. I hope they do because, man, like you feel for Chandler. I hope that dude gets a fight. I really do.
Yeah. Do we still not have like
a definitive
news?
for a definitive like date? No.
Yeah.
I think they're eyeing like October or something or weird like that. August, September, maybe October. So,
yeah.
Okay, sure. It's about 11 to 14 weeks to finish Ultimate Fighter. You know, so we'll see when we get there to that point. I think that puts us around August or July. 11 weeks.
I think
probably a little bit further than that. But man, what a wild week of news that we've gotten. And you know what? I think the UFC needed the Salt Lake City card. Like they needed this win, right? With everything about PFL, because this week has been, or just the news in general has just been about PFL and Francis. And it doesn't help that your heavyweight of the world, right, for the UFC, it still has his mind on Francis. Right?
Yeah. Man's just obsessed.
I didn't see Francis call out Jones until Jones started calling out Francis. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
wrong.
Uh, I feel like Francis never really called out anyone. So
That was kind of a problem. He had no one to dance with.
yeah. I mean, Jones has been known to, kind of chime in on any fight that could possibly be a matchup for him. So
Yeah.
could definitely be some truth to that statement. Jones does love a good Twitter call out.
Jones loves a good Twitter call out. I love when people like, subscribe, follow, comment. Let us know how trash our opinions are. Let us know how right we are. We love that. Our heads can only get bigger. No, I'm just
Come on,
kidding.
Khabib fans, I know you're out there. Give
Come
it to us.
on, give it. Come on. No,
We can take it.
starts crying, turns off the channel. I'm done. Fucking
Turns
hate
off
this.
comments.
Steven, man, as always, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for co-hosting. Listen, if you guys want more content, if you want more day-to-day stuff, we have a TikTok channel where I cover the same exact news with a little bit quicker of a pace, but here we really like to kind of go into our deep dives. Just a couple of things though. This week we do have Mackenzie Dern taking on Angela Hill. I have Mackenzie Dern winning that. I don't think Angela Hill has it anymore. Edmund Shabazian taking on Anthony Hernandez. Emily Ducati versus Lupita Godinez. Andre Fiallo, Joaquin Buckley. That's kind of a good fight. Diego Ferreira and Michael Johnson. That's another good fight. Borshev is on the prelims. That's going to be cool. Chase Hooper is also going to be fighting. He's going to be fighting on Nick Fiore. Chase Hooper, I'm hoping for more, man, from that kid. So hopefully we get to see it. I believe the prelims start at 1 p.m. I actually do not have to work that day, so I'm excited. And yeah, man. So thank you everyone for popping in, and we will see you on the next one.